Hi, I'm Sally Gibney. Welcome to Let's Talk. Well, spring is here, or maybe it's not, I don't know. One day we have sunshine, the next day we have snow. But it's time to talk about our gardens. And I'm so excited to have with me today my very dear friend, Scout Proft of Someday Farm, and we're going to talk about your veggie gardens. Hi, Scout.
Hi, Sally.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. Now, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, I'm part of Someday Farm. Some people call me the matriarch. I'm not sure if I like that, though.
But you are.
I guess I am, yeah. The family land has been in my family since 1937, and I've been farming there since 1984.
Wow.
And we're the oldest community-supported agriculture in the Northeast, perhaps in the country, which is a share program. And we've been growing vegetables and berries and poultry for our community for a long time, and we're pretty much driven by our community. Not only do we grow vegetables and poultry and fruit, we also like to provide for those people who don't have access to it. So we make sure that we have that as well.
Yeah, well, you have. You are such an incredible part of our community. And now how do you do this? How do you provide for the community?
Well, we do a lot of things. We have a farm stand, and we have a community-supported agriculture program, and we work with schools, and we work with the food shelf, and we work with all sorts of different organizations to try to get good food to as many people as possible.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, if you have, say, veggies or whatever left over after the farm stand, and I mean, the shelf life of it isn't that long, so then what do you do?
We work with other organizations to find people who might need to have that product, and very quickly, of course. But there might be children or families, or we take it to the food shelf as well.
Which is great.
Yes.
Which is great. And it's also healthy.
Yeah.
You know,
we feel very strongly. We work very hard to make sure that it's organic and as healthy as possible and fresh.
Absolutely.
And we really listen to our communities, to what they need and what they want.
And that's how you sort of determine what you're growing.
Oh, very much so, yeah. We put questionnaires out every year to all of our customers, and we read a lot of papers and manuals and listen to YouTube and to determine what is the new things, but as well what is the foundation to a good diet.
Yeah, and taking care of our earth.
Very much so, yeah.
It's so important.
We do grow our own compost, and we don't use any chemical fertilizers, so we're very cognizant on making the land better off than we originally got it. Which is a little difficult. It was 1937.
Well, that is, and you also, I just want to share a little bit, and then we'll get into the gardens, but you also do go to schools and talk with schools and help them with composting and all of that sort of thing. So you're helping our youth to embrace the earth.
Yeah, we feel very strongly that the children really need to learn how to nurture. And not only is it with composting, but it's plants and it's with animals as well.
And they listen, don't they?
They do listen. There's nothing better than getting kids dirty.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Well, now let's talk about the veggie gardens. Now, how do people get started now?
Well, this is the time to get started. And the first thing to do is to make sure your soil is warm. This is my favorite tool here. This is just a plain old pitchfork. It's a little bit broader on the bottom. And you want your soil to be warm. So the best thing to do is to dig a hole in your soil or in your container. It doesn't have to be it could be a container on your porch as well. And to make sure that there's no frost in your soil.
So you just dig and dig and dig?
Just dig and feel and make sure there's no icicles down there. And as soon as that's the case, you can start to plant. But you have to plant the right things at this time of the year.
I see.
And those are greens and roots and the pea family.
Now, are you talking about seeds?
I'm talking about seeds.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have some
Yes,
seeds
we've got
here.
a bunch of seeds right here. So right now, I should tell you what we're planting in the next couple of days, which will be spinach and mesclun and arugula and lettuce and carrots and beets. And we'll plant plants as well. And those are things that can be planted in the colder nights, which is really the concern. It's not so much the day, though that can be cold or warm, but it's really the night, because the nights are the ones that we're still getting 15 to 17 degree nights.
Wow.
So we can put in scallions right now. We can put in, as plants, we can put in lettuce, we can put in spinach, and we can put in some other kinds of greens, whether
these
it be
are
kale or
seeds
chards.
right now. Say somebody's starting their garden for the first time. So how do you place them? And do you put them all together? Do you mix them up? Or what do you do?
The best way to plant, I think, is in blocks. Think about a book and planting things about the size of a book and planting every single 2 weeks. So space out your garden, whether it be small or whether it's the size of a door or the size of a couple of pieces of paper or just some pots on your terrace, and divide that up into sections and plant every 2 weeks. Plant your roots every 2 weeks, plant your greens every 2 weeks, plant your peas
plant the same things over and over again every 2 weeks.
Because you think about the harvest happens for about 2 weeks. If you plant mesclun greens like what we have here, these are planted every 2 weeks in the garden because you're harvesting for 2 weeks.
Okay, so this means, so all of these plants that we're talking about, they can continue to grow? You mean it isn't just one particular season, like the month of May or the month of June or July? You mean they can keep going?
Yeah, and that's a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Is that you plant your garden. People say to me, oh, you've got your garden in, Scout. And I was like, no, we plant all the way until October. So we're planting pretty much, not everything, but we're planting a lot of things every 2 weeks. Our roots are going in every 2 weeks. Our greens are going in every 2 weeks. Tomatoes, not till 1st of June. And perhaps the best thing I could tell you, Sally, is talk to a farmer. Talk to a local person who is growing on a larger scale and copy them.
Right. Now people can talk to you. I mean, they can go to the, when does the farm stand open?
That opens in end of May, and they can come to us and ask us questions. Our whole crew of Someday Farm usually knows the answers. But they can come and say, so when do I plant my peas and when do I plant my beans? Because different crops need different amount of temperature. So beans like it to be warm, peas like it to be cool. But beans, we plant our beans May 15th, but then we plant them from 2 weeks on all the way until first week in August.
Now that's really interesting. Now I've never had a veggie garden, so this is all kind of.
Am I talking you into it?
You might, but you have to nurture the garden, don't you?
Very much so. So it's not just putting in a plant. It's not just putting in a seed, which you can get that information, as I said, from a farmer or a gardener who's done it for a while. But it's really also watering it on a regular basis and feeding it on a regular basis.
Now what do you feed it?
We tend to feed it, sounds horrible, we tend to feed it compost tea. Or manure tea. So we're taking compost or we're taking manure and we're putting it in a 5-gallon bucket and stirring it up until it stops to smell, usually 3 weeks, and then putting that on the plant every Sunday. So we just get, and in saying that, on a regular basis, we're feeding our plants. Whether it's the greens, whether it's tomatoes, whether it's zucchini.
You're saying you just sprinkle it on?
Yes.
On the roots? Or
right around the plants. Just
not
never
on the leaves.
foliage.
That's what I was going to ask.
Never on the foliage itself. So getting into a regular, regular routine every Sunday, every other Sunday, to just seed down, and then also whatever you have established to feed that as well.
Now, if it's someone who doesn't have, say, compost,
yes,
are there natural things that they can use to feed their plants?
Yeah, you can go to RK Miles, our local source for fertilizer, and get an organic fertilizer. The reason organic fertilizers are better is they last longer in the soil versus the conventional fertilizers. So they'll be around for a longer period of time. And that's every other week we would use that kind of fertilizer, an organic fertilizer around our plants.
What about watering them?
Watering is an important thing that I'm glad you mentioned, because most people overwater their plants.
Oh, I do that.
So the best way...
Over or under, I mean...
Over or under, and the best way is this. Use your finger. Yeah, just put it down into the soil, and if it's wet at the bottom of your finger, you know that you have enough moisture.
Okay.
So you want your whole finger to be moist.
Okay.
And that's pretty much a blatant statement for all of your vegetable plants.
Interesting.
So you can definitely overwater. It's a little bit better to underwater. And the best time to water is in the evening, because you save water. It doesn't transpire into the atmosphere.
I was wondering, is it true that if you water plants when the sun is shining, you could burn them?
No, you can't burn them, but you will not utilize the water efficiently.
I see.
So burning, you'd have to have it really, really hot and really sunny to burn your plants. But we've never experienced that.
You've never done
Not
that.
in Vermont anyway.
Now, how about, so we were talking about planting seeds.
Yes.
So they can do seeds now, certain seeds
Yes.
can start
Yeah,
now. Actually in the ground now?
Very much so, yeah. We're planting out lots of seeds in the next couple of days. And so we're just scarifying the soil a little bit, throwing the seeds and throwing soil on top.
So do you sprinkle them in any special manner, or do you just whatever?
Think about
like salt and pepper?
salt and pepper. I was thinking Parmesan cheese, actually. think about Parmesan cheese on top of a pizza. Pretty close together. You can always thin out. But it's harder to add in later
So do you have
on.
rows like? Is that what you do?
We
or not?
actually do blocks, as I said before. So we do large areas, but not so much rows, because then you have to weed between the rows. And the idea
So you mean you
too-
just do the whole thing and then just
Yeah.
sprinkle it right on, like Parmesan cheese?
And then cover with some soil on top. And if you do it that way also, it will encourage you not to walk in your bed. The worst thing you can do is to walk on the soil that you are about to plant into, because it compacts that soil. So the less compaction of your soil, the quicker the plants will come up, the less stressful they will be, the less insects and disease that you'll have on your plants. So we have, at the farm, we have 4-foot wide beds, and we do not walk in that bed at all. We're working from the side, and it's 4 foot for us, because that's how
You can
half
reach
of
in.
our
Yeah.
of our arm length.
Yeah, oh, that makes sense. Now, what if people are thinking, I'm not going to start with seeds. I want to do plants. So you can purchase little plants.
Yes.
Now, does the farm provide, do you sell plants
Yes,
as well?
we sell plants as well. So something like lettuce, mesclun, it's so nice to just seed that down every couple of weeks. And some things you can't start from plants, like carrots. They have to be seeded down.
Oh, really?
So in saying that, though, there's different carrot varieties. This is getting complicated. You're hanging on there. There's different varieties of carrots for spring, summer, and fall.
Oh, okay. So people have to be careful what they choose.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's where a seed catalog will come in, and they'll tell you in the seed catalog. Johnny Selected Seed is a great seed catalog. High Mowing is
What's
another
this?
seed catalog. These are all seed companies that are in the Northeast, and that's where you want to buy your seeds, from a company that's in the Northeast.
Oh, okay. Is
Because
that-
those are seeds conducive to this area.
I was going to say, is that because they're conducive to the climate here? So
Very much
they're
so.
the best ones
Yeah.
to go to.
And there's different varieties for carrots if you've got thinner soil versus if you've got deeper soil. There's different varieties of lettuce according to a spring cool, summer heat. And there's different tomato varieties according to what you want to use the tomato for.
Exactly.
If you want to use your tomatoes for sauce,
For a
if you want to
wonderful
use
sauce.
drying, or if you want it just for fresh eating.
So it really behooves you to do your homework,
Very much so.
to check on,
Yes.
to research. I mean, if you're going to make this investment of time and energy and everything else, you might as well research it.
Yeah.
Where do you suggest the people go for that?
Well, I would definitely go to any of the local nurseries. For sure, there's lots of information there. You just got to get them to stop long enough to talk to you. And the seed catalogs provide a wealth of information. And going to Northshire Bookstore and finding the books that are written for the Northeast is
Okay,
important.
that's a very important point.
Very much so. Yeah. As well as going to the farmers market and the farm stands and talking to the farmers themselves.
Well, that's a great idea, because the farmers market is still running.
Very much so.
And it will be outdoors pretty soon. Well, in May, the end of May, right?
Yes.
Isn't that when
Yeah.
it starts? Yeah. And there are so many local farmers around who are more than willing to share with you any information.
Yeah,
that
they'll
they
share
can.
the good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is mostly good, though.
Oh, it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Now, for those people who want to plant plants, when do they start doing that? When do they put the plants in the ground?
Well, we're starting doing plants as well as seed this week as well, and those
Really?
are the more hardy. So those are the greens mostly. Then we do a lot of more of the general big plants like the tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. We start those not till the very end of May. The clue is you want it to be warm during the day and warm at night. And you want those temperatures not to fluctuate very much.
It's kind of hard to do that today, isn't it? I
Oh.
mean, we don't know what's going on. So what do you do? How do
Well,
you
we've
figure
had
it out?
snow on May 4th
Yeah.
a few years ago, and it's
Yeah.
just like, oh my goodness. So
Now, is the snow, though, kind of a blanket that protects what's there, or is it not such a
well, it
blanket?
is. They call it
Yeah.
the poor man's fertilizer, so it works well for me. Poor woman's fertilizer, I suppose. yes, but it does act as a blanket in the winter time, but at this time of the year it can be a detriment because it does provide too much moisture to your plants.
So what do you do if it snows?
Well, we have row covers that we put. And you could use anything. You could put blankets on top. We take PVC pipe and put it in an arc over our plants, and then put blankets or a spun-bound polycloth on top to cover those plants for the short time when that temperature vacillates.
Yeah. So if people are starting their gardens now, even the seeds, now do you cover the seeds as well?
We do, but that's only because we're trying to get as quick as a jump as possible. But
so for someone who's doing a garden right now and they put some seeds in and then it's going to get really, really cold and they're really nervous, do they have to do something to protect those seeds?
You know what I would suggest is I would throw some old hay or some straw on top, and that would just give a little bit of insulation to the soil that is warm, and then if a cold snap comes in, it'll protect that warmth from evaporating into the atmosphere.
Okay, and then do you have to remove the straw from?
Yes, yeah. Then I would rake it away as it gets warmer.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but it's definitely, this is the time to start to plant.
it is
For sure. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Get your grandchildren and your children, grab a school kid or a grandmother or grandfather or a teenager and get to work.
It's certainly a wonderful thing for families to do.
It is, and it's so inexpensive as well. There's really, I mean, a packet of seed is nothing. And it's an incredible activity to share with people of all different ages can do it. And it's not that hard work physically. And to be able to clip off what you grow and
eat it.
Eat it right away.
Let's talk about herbs.
Oh, okay.
So now what people are, they're saying they want to have an herb garden or they want to put it in a box, a flower box or whatever. How do we do that?
Well, I should first say that the best thing to grow are things that you're going to eat. A lot of people will plant something and get something that they're not really going to consume. Use the farmers markets for that. In your own space, use the things that you're going to use a lot of.
Okay.
Like beans. If you eat beans a lot, plant beans a lot. And an herb garden is a good example because people use parsley and cilantro and basil a lot.
Right.
And that's something that is really best very fresh. So having it right in your garden is wonderful.
Oh, and going out and clipping it and then putting it in your recipe is just...
It's wonderful,
pretty
yeah.
exciting.
And
having
that's a great
children
thing
help
for
you with
kids.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, too, is a note is to remember to feed those herbs. Because a lot of people come to our farm stand in beginning of August and said, basil's dead, cilantro is no more, our time is looking weepy. But again, it's maintain it through the June and July so you get still a harvest in August.
Well, now what do you feed them with?
Again, it's a organic fertilizer, it's a compost, it's some good sifted soil, it's anything that's going to encourage that regrowth to occur.
Now that's something I'm glad you brought up, the soil. What kind of soil do you use say I want to do an herb box.
Yeah.
What kind of soil do you use to put in that so that the herbs will be happy?
Well, you want what you call a loam soil. L-O-A-M, a loam soil. And a loam soil is a mix of all the other kinds of soils all together. So it's the general texture and feel of all those others, of a clay and of a silt and a sand, and it's mixed up. So it's got good drainage, it's got good fertility, and it'll hold the roots of the plants and let water go down, but not too quickly.
And you have to have drainage, right?
And you have to have drainage. Always, if you've got pots, you want to make sure that there's drainage holes in the bottom. We've made that mistake.
Yeah. And
certainly in school gardens.
Sure.
Yeah. But the larger volume you have of soil, the better off you are, because by having a large amount of soil, it gives you the play as far as watering and drying out. So herb garden, you can certainly plant parsley right now and chives right now.
Outside?
Outside.
Now,
Yes.
what if people wanted to do something? Do you recommend starting something inside, or do you think it's better just start it outside?
Start it outside, and parsley it takes a long time for it to germinate, so the best thing for like parsley is to buy starts from any of the many nurseries that we have in the area. And basil, don't put that out until end of May. It likes that heat.
Oh, it does.
And it likes to grow really fast.
And
So
what
again,
about cilantro?
Cilantro is the same way. It likes to be a little bit warmer, not as warm as the basil. So we say basil end of May, cilantro May 15th, parsley really beginning of May you could get away with.
Yeah. And that's not that far away.
It's not that far. It's right around the
I
corner.
know. Oh, it doesn't
very
seem
exciting.
possible.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem possible. So now, are there any other last-minute tips that you want to give people about their gardens?
I would. Besides using the seed catalogs, this is my Bible. I have 30 plus years of these, and this is my record system. And I would suggest for anyone, school children who are doing it the first time, somebody who's been doing it for many years, keep a record. And it might be on the calendar by your, I was about to say by your phone, but nobody has calendars by their phone anymore. But keep a record of some kind. In schools, I like to put a mailbox by the school garden, and you can put index cards in the mailbox.
And so a record of what?
I'm keeping a record of what I did last year, so I have that in the beginning of the book, and then I keep records of the weather every single day. You don't have to be quite so voluptuous as I am. And then I record what I planted, and then I also record how it's doing. So I know what variety of tomatoes did well last year, so I can redo them. Or I know that some bean varieties you pick just once and then they're done. Some bean varieties you pick over a long period of time. I like to record that variety.
And that's really kind of a neat thing to do as a family too, isn't it?
It is fun.
You know, to have this record and then have the children go back and look at it and what did we do last year and this is what we can do this year and what can we do better.
It's such a learning experience and an exciting one at that.
It is, it is. And I think today when we're, you know, thinking of ways that we can come together as families and as communities.
Very much so.
You know, and you see the farming community coming together, don't you?
Very much so, more so than ever before. And gardeners as well, you know, and it's, the wonderful thing about gardening is we have the same language. You know, you can say, so how's your basil doing? And what tomato varieties are you doing? And hey, I harvested my potatoes and they have holes in them. What happened with that? So it's a wonderful way. We work a lot with the schools. Then the schools come and help us plant. And in exchange, they get some of harvest pay. So it's a way to build community gardening. And we have such a fun time talking at our farm stand with people about their problems and about their
Usually
successes.
there's a line of people waiting to talk to you. Scout, I need you for a minute. You know, it's really, and your whole family is involved, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And I love when you bring the chickens to the farm stand. And I know our grandchildren absolutely love it. And the little eggs that you plant so that the children can find the egg.
Well, those chickens, I mean, the animals are so integral to growing our plants. Without our compost, which is, you know, the manures and the bedding from our animals get put in large piles, and 3 to 6 months later it turns into pure soil, which is what this is. This is compost from our plants and our dead.
And I love what you said, when you're putting some compost or whatever, you stir it until there's no more fragrance, is that?
Yes, so that's our compost tea.
Oh, okay.
So we'll take the compost and put it in a barrel and stir it up, and that becomes our fertilizer.
And it's the stirring that releases the smell, I guess.
Yes.
So to speak.
Yep.
So
and fine tunes it, matures it. So we, as I said, every Sunday we use that compost tea. So I don't usually get invited anywhere on Sundays.
I'll bet. That's the day not to invite you over for coffee.
Definitely not.
This has been wonderful. Is there any other last-minute little pointers that you have for our audience?
I think just to be really aware of the varieties, I think is really important. And find a friend to help you. We have a bunch of volunteers who come and help us, and by doing that, they learn and we learn, and we all get educated in the same way.
So if anyone wanted to volunteer at Someday Farm, they could contact you.
Through our website.
Through your website, and that is?
Just look somedayfarmvt.com.
Okay, very good. Very good.
And there's plenty of other farms as well to glean from and
absolutely. And again, going to the farmer's market and connecting with the farmers at the farmer market and asking questions.
Oh, very much so.
Never hesitate to ask questions.
Yeah, and you'll get lots of different information. One farmer likes a different kind of onion than we do, and somebody has a favorite tomato variety or a certain kind of pepper that they like.
And you can kind of walk along and see what they have and then determine which is the thing that you want to learn about and do something about. It's just so wonderful, and it's such a wonderful way for us to help the earth.
Very much so.
And to help our community and to be part of making it even better.
Yeah,
which is
very
really
much
great.
so. Yeah.
So we're going to have your website on so people can look at it, and
Great.
they can go. Now, if they have questions, can they contact you through the website?
Surely.
And you'll be happy to answer questions.
Mm-hmm. Or they can come to our farm stand, and we can answer questions there.
And
Feel free.
And you are at the farmers market.
Not this year.
Not this year.
Not
okay.
till the fall.
All right.
Will we be there?
Okay.
But we're spread thin this year.
Yeah.
So
well, that happens.
we're running fast and spread thin.
That happens. But there are other farmers at the farmers market. So if you
Very
have
much so.
questions and you want to get started, either email Scout or someone at Someday Farm at your website, and you'll get back to them.
Oh, yeah.
Or go to the farmers market and talk to a farmer there. This has been absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited. In fact, I think I might even start a garden.
Oh my goodness.
Well, at least an herb garden. Yeah, we're not going to get carried away.
Okay, okay. I'll have to loan
anyway.
you a pair of my pants.
I'd love it.
With the dirty knees.
Thank you so much
Thank
for being
you,
here,
Sally.
Sally. You're always just such a joy to be with. And thank you all for listening. I hope you found this helpful. And start a garden. Until next time, let's talk.